Okay, so this episode of Demon Slayer was straight fire, and this time I mean that literally because Jesus, we had an absolute banger on our hands. Finally, we got to see my wife Mitsuri show up and make a splash, which I thought would be the highlight of the episode, but it actually turns out that Tanjiro had something to say about that and surprised us all with some of the most killer looking animation in FX I've seen in, well, since last week's episode, actually. So with that out of the way, do montage. We continue on with the Demon Slayers finding themselves all down and out. This is except for Muichiro, who saves Kanamori. Though let's be real here, I think it's the demons who need protecting from Kanamori. Though of course, Muichiro, being as simple-minded as he is because of his severe memory loss of course, immediately wants his blade back. He then learns upon getting his blade back that Tanjiro was the one who asked to fix his blade. So if you remember, back in episode 2, I believe Muichiro tossed his blade to Tanjiro, and so even though Tanjiro was disrespected, he still made sure Muichiro's blade was repaired and in tip-top shape. This, in my opinion, goes to show the mindset Tanjiro has, which is to not judge someone simply by a few actions and give them the benefit of the doubt. This is actually something people don't really do often in modern times for some reason, but usually speaking, giving people the benefit of the doubt, as Tanjiro did, in some cases, turns the person who was against you to your side, which is exactly what Tanjiro likely did knowingly or unknowingly. In other words, Tanjiro, like I've said every episode so far, is a good boy. They immediately head over to Haganezuka-san to find it's mostly safe, you know, besides the horrifying pothead Gyoko hotboxing the place. Turns out while hotboxing the place with pots, he also was working on, this, which you best bet I am not unblurring because of YouTube's archaic policies. So to describe it, well actually there's no point because you've already seen the episode. This leads to Muichiro to cut the chatter and attack Gyoko, who retreats into his pot, showing he can teleport and shift between the pots he has control over and seemingly make them out of thin air. This leads to Gyoko using an attack which produces flying fish, not even kidding, that shoot out spikes, which almost seems like something from a video game. Seeing this, he goes to save Kotetsu and Kanamori, which is yet another surprising change for Muichiro, at least in my opinion. It seems Tanjiro, jogging his memory, has awakened the heroic Demon Slayer within him, and he takes the full brunt of the attack, saving the two Swordsmiths and riddling his own body with these horrifying looking spikes. Though, it just doesn't end there, of course, because these are demons. The spikes are all coated with poison, so now Muichiro has to deal with such low tactics as poison, much like Tengen did in the previous season. However, this also actually jogs his memory as well. He remembers someone speaking to him but can't quite place who it was, and as well an old memory of a hot summer, which is very fascinating. I think this all has to do with some of Muichiro's youth that was teased in the ED this season, but as well, I also think that this was probably the demon that did this horrifying thing to him. This is when Gyoko continues to use his advantage and uses his blood demon technique, Water Basin of Hell, which is a very good name because this looked really cool as it's basically a giant basin made out of water that suffocates its enemies trapped within, and not even Muichiro is able to cut through it. Though, turns out Gyoko thought long and hard about this move, as it means that this move takes away the very thing which makes Demon Slayer so powerful. Of course, their breathing techniques. Continuing on though, we gotta talk about it. Mitsuri is finally here, and she proves pretty much immediately that thick thighs do save lives, as she makes quick work of the pot fishies. I think it's rather funny that the Swordsmiths all forgot how strong she was, since they were all dazzled by her cuteness. Don't know why, but that's just hilarious to me. And while this is happening, the Demon Hunter guards are all wiped out by a mega fish. A very horrifying one. I'm not sure if I should blur this one or not, but then we see Mitsuri arrive to fend off the demons with her whip? Sword? Well, Well, I guess she wouldn't be the love Hashira if she didn't whip you with her sword like she's, I guess, some sort of dom, I guess. But anyways, she then uses Shiver of First Love, good name, and dispatches the demon rather quickly and in one amazingly animated fashion. And afterwards, she then catches, and I love this whole little sequence, she catches a gravely injured Tekken and Mitsuri begins to cry, but the moment doesn't last as long as he's just so happy to be held by a cute young girl. He feels like he's went to heaven, which is kind of ironic because he almost did, but now he is because she killed that man with her cuteness. Is she the enemy? I don't know. Anyways, which immediately Mitsuri calls him a perv, though it seems Mitsuri has a lot of fans. As another one says, they fell on their head, so they want to hold her hand, which if that is the case, then I would also like to hold her hand. I also fell on my head. I can't prove it, but I can definitely say it. So I guess, though one thing is true out of all of this, the power of simping does save the soul. And you know what else saves the soul? Subscribing and liking this video, because we are pretty close to 70,000 subscribers, and I want to reach it by the end of this season, I hope. So every bit helps me reach that goal quicker, and of course, thank you for subscribing. If you did, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. However, we are brought back to reality as Tanjiro and Nezuko are just slowly being decimated by these demon clones. So Tanjiro begins to basically buy time like he always does, trying to think of a way to beat these demons. This is when one of the coolest moments of the episode happens, probably the coolest, now to think about it. Nezuko gets caught under rubble and begins to cut herself on Tanjiro's blade, though Tanjiro initially thinks this is an attempt to try to get him to not leave her behind, but she's actually covering Tanjiro's blade in her demon's blood in one of the most top 10 hype anime moments I've seen in a while. Tanjiro's blade begins to sear under the heat of Nezuko's burning blood, and his blade becomes a cherry red. Perfect for YouTube videos cutting into random objects, by the way, but absolutely amazing. However, this leads into a beautiful flashback where we see a vision Tanjiro has of an inherited memory. Now, obviously, we get this at least once or twice every season so far, and I think this one may be one of the more unique as it's a memory of seemingly their great-grandmother and Yoruichi, and it shows off her innocence when looking at Yoruichi's red blade. Now, all of this is still kind of confusing to me, but I'm gonna throw out a theory here. This means that Tanjiro's family is directly linked to Yoruichi in some facet. At least it confirms it. We already saw it in the first or second episode, but this absolutely confirms it. And this connection is extremely important in their history, though I have a more developed theory on Yoruichi. So let's get into that. The first being his relation to his family. I now think that they may be blood related of some kind, maybe their grandfather's brother of some kind. We know they carry the same scars on their head, they wear the same Hanafuda earrings, and now we know their blades were both black and could be set on fire to turn red. To me, that seems there is some deep connection with Yoruichi, Tanjiro, and Nezuko. Let me know your theories though down in the comments below, and as I kindly ask you this, please don't spoil in the comments. If you do, a moderator will remove the comment and likely ban your account from commenting on the channel, so please do be respectful, especially to the moderators. They're not as kind as I am. Now, with the feeling of everyone who has come before him that has helped Tanjiro get stronger, he now feels he must live up to these expectations because, you know, now he wields a new and greater power which can help even more people. I mean, he's got a giant flaming blade, for Christ's sakes. And while the demons at first don't seem to care what he was planning, they do realize from Muzan's memories that this is the flaming sword, the red sword of the demon slayer Yoruichi that nearly cut down Muzan 300 years ago. In one of the greatest moments in Demon Slayer I have ever seen, Tanjiro's visage overlaps with that of Yoruichi's, and in a split second seemingly, uses Dance of the Fire God Solar Halo Dragon Dance, I hope that's translated correctly, coloring the landscape in a fire that nearly instantly seems effortlessly grows and spreads just almost immediately. Tanjiro ends up cutting off the heads of the demons, all four at once, and on top of that, Genya survived the battle and was able to cut off the head of another demon. Except, Genya doesn't look like Genya anymore, Mr. Stark. My guess is that he is a demon much like Nezuko, because at this point, you know, I mean, they have the eyes, the veins, the drool, and of course his teeth. These are all things that Nezuko has exhibited, and as well, the other demons that we've seen throughout throughout the series. It would also explain why Genya is so mysterious and why we don't know much about him, and why he's always ticked off to some degree. So my theory is that long ago he became a demon and wanted to fight the urges he had, and thus it required him to either likely be extremely emotional to counter those demonic tendencies, or to always just be angry. Also, it would explain why he's ripping out his teeth. He doesn't want people to see his fangs and reveal his true identity as a demon to the others, because we know Nezuko has a problem with showing her fangs. That's why she wears a muzzle. Also, of course, why he's immortal. I mean, he's a demon who can heal much better than humans like Nezuko. That's a pretty solid theory to have. We saw that he was getting attacked and nothing really was happening to him. This episode of Demon Slayer was absolutely jam-packed and I loved it. I just loved the stuff we got to see with Mitsuri because her blade was quite unique, and I think her personality really fits with this season and this show, as she acts as a sort of relief for the series because there are so many dark elements going on in the season. Also, once again, I call dibs on Mitsuri, and I better not see one comment saying otherwise. Other than that, I'm also intrigued by Genya, and I think as this season begins to get into its climax, we're going to get a lot of great things from this character. He's absolutely the wild card of this season. Honestly though, overall, I think Demon Slayer is just absolutely hitting every episode pretty much perfectly so far, with great action, story, and writing alike. It's no Vinland Saga or Attack on Titan, of course, but by God, it's just one of the best series out there right now. So if you haven't, please do check out my last video on episode 4. Not many people got to see it, sadly. So if you would, please just go and check it out, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.